Monte, we did it! Monte, we did it. We made it to the break. Hello, this is Dub Stock Live brought to you by FitAid. Monte Poole, the Warriors insider. Kerith, Burke here. We made it. We made it. The Warriors made it, okay? They are 29-29. It feels like we're always talking about the Warriors being at a 500 average. As the kids say, it's mid, right there in the middle, 29-29. I actually took a moment to compile some numbers, okay? So we know that the Warriors have arrived at the break. Where were they at certain milestones this season, okay? 10 games. That's when they had the really rough start. That was 3-7. They did start to turn it around, and you can see it 20 games, 500, 40 games, 500, 58 games right now, 500. There's 24 games left. How should the Warriors feel about where they sit right now?
Pretty bad. I mean, when you have not the count is up to 9 games now where they've had a double-digit lead and gave it back.
Okay.
So I'm not saying you can always hold every single lead you get. But when you give away 9 games that you had, pretty much in your hands, it's going to show. I mean, if they win 6 of those games, that's a huge difference. All of a sudden then they're 35-23, instead of, so it makes a huge difference. And right now, they are what they say, what the record says they are. They're a mediocre team in the NBA.
Yeah, and that's why defense is the theme. We heard it from Kerr. We heard it from Draymond, especially. Everybody saying we need to hold each other accountable. We just don't have the will on defense. Nothing's going to change until we change. Yeah,
and the thing that makes this so infuriating to the Warriors and probably to their fans is that there have been games where the defense is really on point. Every now and then, the Boston game stands out. The Boston game in San Francisco here, they won that game. Klay Thompson played a tremendous game at both ends. I mean, Jason Tatum was almost invisible, largely due to Klay because, Wiggins was not even playing.
I remember that Klay was the leading scorer for the Warriors in that game, too. So the two-way effort he was making was incredible.
Phenomenal. You don't expect that from Klay every night, but when you see a game like that, you're thinking, you know what? Yeah, they just beat Boston, which was playing the best basketball in the league at the time. And they beat them on their home court, and they beat them pretty decisively. So that suggests that the Warriors can do this.
Yes, they can.
But then they go out and they lose to an Orlando or to an Indiana or to a Charlotte, and you're going, wait a minute, who are these guys? And that's been the issue. The problem is that they've identified the issue they need to fix, but they haven't been able to fix it.
Yeah.
So when you identify the problem and you can't fix it, it's really kind of naturally frustrating. We know what's wrong, but it keeps happening. And if it continues, they will be going home in April.
Ooh, okay. I mean, defense as a decision, that's why Draymond said defense is not fun. You just have to want to do it. Okay. Let's look at the Western Conference standings. 29-29 for the Warriors. That is good enough for ninth. That is not where the Warriors want to be. Right now, that is the play-in. And while that does technically get them in the playoffs, or at least a chance for it, the Warriors are really hoping for that 6 seed, or the 5 or the 4, but they have a lot of ground to cover. I think the wild card with the play-in is we know what happens. We have one sample size there for the Warriors when they made the play-in. They got bounced. You're right. They left in April.
Yeah. A lot of teams are going to be between 40 and, say, 47, 48 wins. And the Warriors are probably going to be one of those teams. But where they are will dictate whether they're a play-in team or a 6th spot. I mean, I'm not saying they can't get higher than 6, but right now it's going to take a pretty good run to get to 6. They got to play their best basketball over the last 6 weeks of the season to get to the number 6 spot and avoid the play-in. All
right, I have a surprise for you. Okay, we're going to hear from somebody that you might not expect. Are you ready? Okay, former Warriors coach Mike Brown. Take a listen.
I mean, it's the West is crazy. I mean, you just look at the talent. You look at all the new guys in the West and what some of these teams already had. And, a lot of these teams are playoff ready, and they've been there and done it at a high level for a few years now. And so to add the pieces that they have is just going to make it even better for them, for those individual teams, and harder for everybody else. So, we got to come and, like I said, we got to be more consistent defensively. We got to take care of all the little things, and we have to also continue to shoot the ball well and play fast, and in order to continue to rise in the direction we want to go.
Mike Brown saying his team, which is ranked 3rd, has to play better defensively. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit of perspective that every team will say they need to play. What are you giving me that look
Well,
for?
because that's
defense
Mike
better?
Brown. He's
I
going to
know.
say that.
I know.
They could be shutting every team out in the NBA, and Mike would be saying, we got to be better on defense.
But the wild west,
Yes.
things are crowded right now.
Dead on.
That could help the Warriors. It
Yeah.
could hurt the Warriors because we saw some of the moves that other teams made at the trade deadline to get better, to see if they can start leapfrogging some teams. I don't know if the Warriors did enough. I think it's wonderful that they brought back GP2. We're not sure when he's going to play. He'll be reevaluated in about a month.
Yeah.
We'll get some news about Steph Curry after the All-Star break. But if things are going to change for the Warriors, they need defenders. GP2 is a defender. I mean, he would be a big help.
Yeah, and the thing is that, I think Klay now, who used to be able to guard 1 through 4, I think now it's harder for him to guard the little guys.
Okay.
And that's not surprising, to keep up with the quick little guys are giving him problems. They get past him. So he's now guarding maybe some shooting guards and forwards mostly. He can guard up. He can guard power forwards. Wiggins' defense has not been what it was last year when he's out there. But Andrew's offense was really good early. His offense may be coming back now.
Yeah.
And sometimes when the offense is there, the defense kind of follows because you get this energy. And if they can find that, if Klay can be able to just, stay in front of people and guard guys that are guard up, and Andrew can get back to where his defense level was last year, that'll be a huge boost. Now, they've tried Kuminga, they've tried DiVincenzo, those two guys mostly in trying to guard point of attack defense, and it's hit and miss. It's hit and miss. You can get spoiled by having Gary Payton II out there like you saw last year. There just aren't many guys like that in the NBA who can go 94 feet and give all kinds of, HELL to opposing guards.
Give them hell. Listen, we're going on a break, all right, bosses? Give them hell. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, but it hasn't worked, which is why they went and got GP2. They're gambling that he will be able to come back and give them something. After the All-Star break, maybe it might not be until mid-March or April. They're hoping.
Yeah.
They don't even know. He might not be able to come back until next season, because if they miss the playoffs, and that's only 2 months away, the playoffs begin in 2 months.
Yeah.
So if he's not able to play within 2 months, you're looking at next season, which is fine for next season, but doesn't do much for anything for this season, except for they've traded away James Wiseman, who was once a part of their future.
James Wiseman should make his debut on the 15th. That would be tomorrow. He's expected to play for the Pistons. Also, a note on Andrew Wiggins. He missed this game for personal reasons, although Steve Kerr said he's fine. All right, inside of this 10-point loss to the Clippers, as the Warriors head into the All-Star break, there was some good news for Klay Thompson. This was the first time this season he's played in a back-to-back game, and this is a nice milestone for him, considering the injuries he's had.
Yeah, this is the first time Klay has played in back-to-back games in 46 months.
My goodness.
Yeah, April 2019. Almost 4 years, yeah. So I think, you could tell last night, after the game last night when they beat the Wizards, you could tell Klay was excited.
Yes.
To get a chance to get out there on a second consecutive night. And he did so. They didn't want him playing 30. He played 36 minutes against the Wizards. He wasn't getting into the 30s tonight. They had him at 28 is what he ended up with. And I thought you couldn't tell. He didn't look like, oh my God, he's really having a hard time out there. He looked like the normal Klay Thompson that you've seen most of this season. So I would say when you look at the Warriors, they looked at this and said, okay, look, this is our 3rd game in 7 days. It's a pretty good stretch. We have some rest time, and we won't play again until 8 days from now or 9 days from now.
Well,
yeah.
why not?
So you've got now 8 days to rest. So I think they figured this was the time, I guess, Dr. Rick Celebrini told Steve Kerr about a month ago that we're getting close.
Nice.
We're getting close. And this seemed like the kind of the appropriate time where you've had, kind of an easy schedule the past week or so, and you got nothing for the next week.
Okay, good. A good note for Klay heading into the All-Star break. Let's hear his post-game remarks.
Klay, you told us yesterday that, the chance to play in the second set of back-to-back games, this season is a huge milestone for you. How'd you feel out there tonight? What did this mean to you?
I felt great. A little gas in the beginning, but once I got the wheels moving, I felt really good. And I'm just really excited to play back-to-backs from here on out. And just a milestone, per se.
What are the challenges to building on this? Like you mentioned, you felt a little bit winded. What are the challenges to building on this?
I think just getting the first one out of the way is a huge accomplishment. Now it's just going to be back to normal playing ball, and I'm excited for what's ahead after a nice, well-earned break.
Steve and Draymond kind of were sounding the alarm a little bit on the defense. It's not even just statistically what you guys did defensively, but just at the level of playing the back defense. Like, where are you at on what's gone wrong defensively?
Well, it hasn't been great. I mean, I shot really good percentages, and I can be better. Getting back to all defensive form I once was, and I know I'll get there. What else? Now it's time to get away and come back with a mindset of just trying to win, get on a really good win streak.
What would you say the team's like collective will to defend is at?
Above average.
You feel like when you guys aren't making shots in the face, when you're in?
At times I think it does. In the past, it never did. So if we want to get to that championship level, we got to be a top 10 defense again. And when we're getting stops, we're pushing the ball, we're dangerous.
Klay, what do you say as far as the transition, all the actions have gone, trades have gone on in the league? How tough is the West, and how much difficult is that going to be for you guys to climb that mountain? But yet you're champions.
Yeah, I mean, the West is stacked. But at the end of the day, you got to go through to win the whole thing. And whether that's in the finals or in the first round, there's incredible talent. So there's really no rounds off. I mean, there's no gimmies. And for us, I mean, we know what it takes. We got to hold the fort down until Steph gets back, and just got to get whole again. But I know this break's going to be very beneficial toward us, and I still love our chances to repeat, and I'm never going to lose confidence in this team. We've been through too much together, and we just know what it takes to win the whole thing.
All right, Klay Thompson identifying a goal there, get back to being a top 10 defense. What do you think are the chances of that?
They haven't done it, but they've shown on occasion that they're capable of doing it. And that's been the issue, is that they've been wildly inconsistent all season long, which is why they go on these 2 or 3 or 4 game binges where they don't do anything right. Then they go on 2 or 3 games where they look really good, and then they go right back to the other. So they have yet to have a 2-week period where, the Warriors finally look like they got their act together. They haven't had that. They had a 5-game win streak when they first came home, and I think it was December.
Right.
Yeah, and that was okay. You thought maybe, but then, back to the old habits again. So maybe some teams really can't stand prosperity. They haven't had enough, though, not to stand it, So you can talk about the championship DNA, but I think something Klay said to me that stood out is that he basically conceded that he's not back at the level he was defensively, which is a fair,
and
probably
understandable.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that makes a difference. It's hard to be a top 10 defense if you got Klay not at the level he used to be playing at, and you got Wiggins not at the level he played at last year, and you got Jordan Poole, who's not very good as a defender right now. And Steph's out, so even when he's in, Steph's defense has been okay at times. So you've got all these guys that are just not playing strong defense. It doesn't matter what Draymond and Loon do if they're out there playing great defense, because you still got issues with the other guys.
Yeah. All right, so the Warriors, 9th place heading into the break, 29-29. So what do they want to do for the next 24 games? Well, I identified a few things. My wish list is coming up for the Warriors when they come back for the break. Stay tuned.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by FitAid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. FitAid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
YouTube.
Monte's singing us back on to YouTube. I love it. We have a lot of comments with the Warriors. I hope they can get it together. Even with Steph, this team has been a 500 team.
There you go.
That is true. Shannon says it's bittersweet seeing that interview clip of Wiseman from practice in Detroit. Wish him all the best. He seems like a great kid. Who knows? Maybe one day down the line, he'll be a Warrior again. He is a great kid, and I saw that same practice clip because he was trying to describe what it was like for him to be in flux. He had just done his physical in Detroit, just had a workout there, and he's like, "Wait, do I get to play?"
Yeah.
He is expected to play tomorrow, to be determined if he starts. Wouldn't that be a departure from what
that'd
happened
be wild
here?
if he starts, though. I mean, first game with a new team starting, and you didn't start with you weren't even in the rotation of the old team.
I did see. I believe it was Mark Stein who reported that there's a chance.
Yeah, I know
that
he's supposed to. You know he's going to play, but I mean, we'll see. If they start him, so be it. I mean, they got to feel comfortable with that. The Pistons are a rebuilding team, so this
they
is
can
good
afford
for him.
to give him minutes.
Yeah,
That's the whole
this
point.
is good for him to play with that team right now.
Yeah. Looking through some of the comments, you guys, some of these I cannot read. But no, I understand why fans are feeling pretty emotional because you guys can identify the same trouble spots. You've been watching the show all season. You've been watching the games this season.
Yeah.
You know what's happening here.
Yeah. And when you can identify the problem, say, okay, here's what we need to fix. You're saying that in December, and it's now February. And guess what you're saying? Here's what we need to fix.
I actually remember saying some of these things at the 20-game mark, right? That's where we usually hear Steve Kerr say, okay, a team's identity rounds into shape at the 20-game mark. Well,
what were they? 10-10.
10-10. 500. Mid.
Where they're now 48 games later or 38 games later?
Yeah. 29 and
500.
29.
So.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. All right, are you ready for my second half wish list? I'm actually glad we heard some of the sound from Steve, from Draymond, from the other guy saying what's on their wish list is defense. But let's take a look at mine. I've got some bullet points here. I would like a healthy Steph Curry for the second half. I know this is pretty basic. Actually, truthfully, I want everybody to be healthy. I just didn't know if that would fit on the graphic. So let's just say Steph Curry, because I want GP2 to be healthy too. But Steph is the system. Everything revolves around him. This is when he got the shoulder injury, so he missed 11 games. That was the collision that hurt his knee, and you can see him limping. So Steph was explaining he's never had an injury like this. So he's trying to figure out, when can he get back? It's, he's not doing any basketball activities yet.
He hopes to be able to do basketball activities shortly after the break. And once he's able to get to that point, then it'll be a matter of ramping him up, as they say, to getting into some non-contact practices and then to full contact practices and then into a game with minutes restrictions initially. So, I think if you had to guess right now, you're probably going to say if he can get back by mid-March, you take that.
Yeah.
You take that because I give them a month before the end of the regular season, and that's a pretty good runway to the postseason, and that's where you'll determine whether it will be determined whether the Warriors can make a run to get to 7, 6, 5, wherever they can go up to into the standings and position themselves for a decent postseason slot. So it's a long shot right now based on the fact that they're 500. They've been 500 with Steph. They've been 500 without Steph. So we'll see.
Okay, I really like that GP2 is back with this team. I wish he never left. I know the Warriors wish he never left, but just the money didn't add up. But now he's back, so we don't have to talk about that. I would like, on my wish list, the Warriors to have GP2 for the playoffs. Now, I say for the playoffs because he needs to heal. That's the first thing. He's got this core issue. He's been dealing with it most of the first 35 games with the Blazers. I just want him to be better. But I really hope if he is healthy, we can see him sometime this season.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a huge, huge benefit to the Warriors. And again, if you're the Warriors, you're going into the trade deadline, you're thinking, look at the West, man. Denver, Jamal Murray. Oh, wow. Okay, Memphis. Oh, Ja Morant. Ooh.
Can we even rewind a little bit? Nikola Jokic. Do you remember? Do you remember GP2 had a block and I think a strip on Jokic? Okay.
But I mean, you got a list of guys of guards that are going to be difficult to deal with, and you got Jamal Murray, you got Ja Morant. You go down. You might see Sacramento. De'Aaron Fox is not a joke.
No.
De'Aaron Fox is legit. Dallas has a guy named Kyrie Irving now alongside Luka Doncic. And you haven't gotten to Chris Paul and Devin Booker in the Phoenix backcourt. Who knows where Portland will end up? Where's Dame Lillard is over there. So you got all these guards that you got to deal with, and the Warriors are looking at their defense and going, "Oh my goodness, we're going to get worked if we don't do something."
Yeah.
So therefore, the Gary Payton a second trade and hope that he can be there for them down the stretch and into the playoffs.
So he's probably not going to be in the starting lineup, but when Steve Kerr is desperately looking for some stops, when he's going down his bench, he can turn to GPT. I was going to say he can call his number. I was going to say number 0. No, it's number 8 now. Number 8 now. But I hope that GP2 can be that guy who plugs right in and makes a difference, because I don't know that they've had that this season.
He can, because he knows what to do with this team. I mean, it'll be, once he gets back, it'll be like he never left.
Yeah.
But the getting back might take 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. It may take longer. They don't know yet. We don't know yet. And they will reevaluate him sometime middle of March. So we'll see where he stands.
Okay, to be determined, but I hope his health is good. All right, the last thing on my wish list that I want for the next 24 games, no more technicals for Draymond Green or Jordan Poole, or let's throw Steve Kerr in there. What was the note that you had about Steve Kerr in his text?
Well, Steve Kerr has gotten 2 technicals in the last 2 games.
Okay, he's frustrated.
So, so he really needs the All-Star break, you know. But now he is second among coaches in technical fouls.
Wow.
He has 8. He's up to 8. And Rick Carlisle of the Pacers has 9. He's the NBA leader. So Steve Kerr now has more technical fouls than 28 other coaches.
Congrats, Steve. But, I mean, he's trying to defend his team, right? He's like, you missed these calls on this end. Somebody needs to do that. So Draymond doesn't have to do it, you know, and Draymond is at 15 techs, 1 more, and he's suspended. Okay, Jordan Poole, I believe, is at 10. Right there. But you just worry about some reputational things here. Like, it can really hurt the Warriors if this kind of thing continues.
Yes. Draymond leads the league in technical fouls, and Jordan is he's 5th, I think. Well, he's behind Draymond, Dylan Brooks,
Luka
Doncic, and
forgetting the other one.
There's one more.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the other one.
But it's Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
Yeah, he's behind Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
So, Jordan, I don't think he's in danger of getting suspended for a game, but Draymond is right there on the edge.
Yeah.
I heard Steve Kerr say that he has faith in him.
Okay, with Poole, I'm just worried about a 4th-year player, age 23, beginning to get a reputation. Because you want Jordan to attack. You want him to go at the rim. You want him to get some calls. If he doesn't get calls, he gets very frustrated, and it's sort of like, Jordan, please be careful. They need you.
There are young players that are, Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic are among the leaders too. They have more than Jordan. And those guys have been in the league 5 years or less. So it's a real thing. In Jordan's case, I get his frustration because he gets fouled a lot. And doesn't get many calls.
There you go.
Yet when he touches somebody, sometimes it's a call. So I get his frustration quite a bit, because it's definitely a situation where he can easily think that, I'm not getting a fair whistle. And I would tend to agree with him.
All right, thank you. That was my wish list. Let us know your wish list in the YouTube comments. We'll see if we can read some of those. When we come back on Dubs Talk Live, we'll take a look at the schedule coming up. We'll take a look at the home record, the away record, and kind of button this all up as we get ready to head into the break. We'll be right back.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by FitAid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. FitAid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
Okay. Welcome back to YouTube. We've got Lenko saying this offseason gonna be spicy. Interesting. All right. Somebody agrees with me. No more technicals for Draymond's. Ooh, we've got a trade request in here. I don't think they would trade a guy who just got an extension, so we definitely see that differently. You can't.
If you're talking about Jordan Poole or Andrew Wiggins,
they can't.
You can't.
It's against the rules. Okay, Poco says wish list Kevin Love. That's if he hits the buyout market.
Right.
What do you think? I mean, he has an expiring contract. I think it's for $28 or $29 million.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Some chances of that?
I think there's still a chance. There are a couple of guys who I think there's a chance, but no certainty. And he's one of those guys. I think Same thing with Gordon Hayward and Charlotte. You know, two guys with sizable contracts that really don't really fit where their teams are going. And I think both of those guys could come available through a buyout, but again, something had better happen over the next week or so for the Warriors to take a look at. And if either one of those two guys gets available, I think the Warriors will take a look at either one of them.
All right, Jack says definitely get K-Love. Sarah says the vets are getting old. And I think you can say that in a different way. I agree, but the primes are happening now. They are maturing, and the window is closing.
Yeah, just because you won a championship last year doesn't mean you're going to be championship ready this year. And, you know, in the NBA, age can come fast, you know, and you could look in the past over the recent years. It's hard to be a winning team when you're led by 30-somethings, and it's hard to do it. It's possible, but it's not easy to do. So.
Alrighty. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid, Monte, and Kerith. Here, the Warriors 22-7 at home, 7-22 away. I like the symmetry there, but I don't like the record on the road. A championship team is not 7-22 on the road. No,
but you know, it's when they won the championship last year. I mean, even the people at the Warriors, they didn't really see that coming. You know, they didn't know what they had going into last season because they had missed the playoffs the two previous seasons. You know, the first season they had the worst record in the league. The next season they bounced out of in the play-in tournament. So they were like, okay, what do we have here? Let's give it a run and see what we got here. And voila, they get to the postseason and they get that fire in their eyes, and all of a sudden they take off and they see a bunch of teams that aren't ready for them.
Yeah.
And they did it. This year it's a little different. Plus, when you get older, it's harder to run back-to-back long seasons. You know, they did it 5 years in a row. But now, you know, back then they were, you know, in their late 20s, early 30s. Now they're mid-30s, the core. It's a little tougher to do.
Last season, their bench composition was different as well. Guys who were better. Now the bench is coming on now this season, but it took a lot longer.
Yeah, I think one thing you're seeing, JaMychal Green looking more like Otto Porter Jr. now. You know, he's making threes. He's also rebounding. He's blocking shots. He's been a force inside and out. That's good. Dante DiVincenzo's been really good.
Yes, he has. So good, it's a question of whether he's going to be here next year. It's a player option.
Yeah, his option, but last year they had GP too, and he was a game changer. And they don't have a game changer off the bench this year.
Yeah.
Different deal.
All right, we've hit the break.
Yeah, it is, you know, I think for the Warriors, you know, tonight they were all really quick going to the podium. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I think they're ready now. Let's go.
I think I'm ready too. Monte, always a pleasure working
Absolutely.
with you. It's been awesome how Dalton and Zena have done this season too. This isn't a goodbye.
No.
Just we're taking a break. We thank you for watching, and we will see you
next week.
About a week. Thanks, friends. Hey there! Sophia says, get a big to protect the rim, please. When you do see the height of some of the people on other rosters, it does stand out.
Pretty much every roster.
That the tallest guy is Kevon Looney at 6'9".
Yeah. And the thing is that, you know, there will be some bigs that come available. One already has and was already signed. Dwayne Dedmon, the Heat, who actually spent a couple of games with the Warriors back in the Mark Jackson days.
Okay.
He was with the Miami Heat. They let him go, and he was signed by the 70s. Well, they bought him out, and he was signed by the 76ers to back up Joel Embiid. So, but the Sixers play a different brand of basketball than the Warriors do. And so maybe in Philadelphia, he fits better what they do. But if you're the Warriors, I would think you would at least look at that because he's a long body and you'll see what he does. Okay. I think Nerlens Noel is probably going to be available. And that's somebody, if you're the Warriors, you would look at. But yeah, sure. Kevin Love, Gordon Hayward, you know, neither one of those guys is going to protect the rim. But they can play Warriors basketball. I mean, they can shoot the three, they can spread the floor, and and Kevin Love is still a top flight rebounder. So if Cleveland is willing to let him go, which I'm not sure they are, but if they are, if you're the Warriors, I would think you would jump on that.
Okay. Mark says, good show, everyone. Thank you. Dee says the same. We appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, everybody. We love recognizing your names in the YouTube comments. Also, thank you for letting us know where you're watching from. The Warriors.
Tell them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, take a deep breath during the break. Relax.
Step away from your computers.
And understand that you had 5 straight trips to the finals.
Yeah.
And then you had another trip last season where you won it again. And honestly, not many people thought the Warriors were going to win that championship last year. From the beginning until throughout the season, because for a while, they had the 18-2 start. Wow, the Warriors are ready. And then they were basically a 500 team after that.
Yes.
So
yes.
500 sound familiar?
Yes.
So, but then they got to the postseason and they balled out. And so, you don't want to say it. It's premature to say it, but that may have been their last great run. We will see where this season goes right now, but all the signs suggest that last season might be their last great run in terms of a team that is with a core that is in their 30s, going all the way and having a parade. Right now, it's hard to visualize a parade in San Francisco based on what we've seen from the Warriors this season.
Yeah. 4 championships and 8 seasons to be determined how the season ends.
Yep.
All right, break time. See you later.